everybody. Welcome to an edition of ATL Prime Sports. Todd Corder here with you in the ATL. JJ, my sidekick on the other side of Atlanta, and our trusty producer, Wayne, in Memphis, Tennessee, wearing my initials on the top of his head. Guys, how are you today?
I'm doing as good as I can.
Hey, I'm doing
JJ.
good. I'm doing great. I got my first dose of the vaccine, so trying to knock out COVID here. I'm doing great, man. Thanks, TC. How are you,
Which
buddy?
one did you get? It's Pfizer. I get that tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning. Yes.
Pfizer.
How about
That's
that?
it.
Well,
Not
Todd,
the Pfizer.
So
Todd,
you'll go back in what, 3 weeks and get another one, or is it 4?
Yep, I'll go back in about 3 weeks, April 6th or 7th, one of those
right,
2 days.
just after Easter. How about that?
well,
All right.
I'll be getting mine tomorrow at 11:15 Central. So about the same time you're getting yours, Todd.
Wow, 15 minutes. Yeah, how about that? Yeah. That's right. Does D'Angelo hold your hands, JJ, when you got that shot, or is everything all right?
No, I'm good. We're golden.
All right, that's good.
Hello
You're good.
Kitty, Band-Aid to prove it.
No, it's okay. We've seen enough of you already. All right, let's go ahead and go on. I know that you guys all know good news here. Just to Georgia State won the ACC tourney this weekend, so good for them. They're doing well. That'll be the local Atlanta team in the NCAA tournament. All right, guys, it's time for our social media time. You can catch all of us at ATL Prime Sports. You can catch Wayne at RWJ at Junior. You can catch JJ at JJ Get You One. And you can catch me at Corder Todd and all of us once again at ATL Prime Sports. What's on tap tonight? Dave Cohen, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers, will be with us in approximately 30 minutes or so. We're going to have some NFL news, talking Falcons and other teams' quarterback issues, and also March Madness talk. And oh, by the way, speaking of March Madness, everybody, go and sign up for our ATL Prime Sports Challenge. You can win a $50 Visa gift card, but you must, in order to win, you must subscribe and like our podcast. So we have our ATL Prime Sports ESPN Bracket Challenge. Go to it, and the winner, if you subscribe and like, we'll get a $50 gift certificate Visa. All right, JJ, time for the headlines. Take it away.
And there's so many. I definitely wanted to dive into a Major League Baseball, well, really a AAA baseball headline. They're going to do some experimental rules in single A, double A, but the one that stood out to me the most was the AAA rule, the wider bases. I think it's great. I think all three of us have probably played some church league softball. They got the 2 first bases. I kind of like that. I know it's for lack of a better term, it is stupid, but hey, I like it. Less bang bang injuries, rolling ankles, the runner's safer, the first baseman's safer. I like it.
Yeah. Well, every time I got on base, it was because of poor pitching. So I didn't really have to round the bases too fast.
You mean the walkathon was your best at bat?
Absolutely.
Nice. No, I can't stand it. The other rule change that I can't stand is that they're going to implement potentially is only having two visits to the mound. That's it.
Yeah,
Man,
there's a bunch of other ones they're experimenting with in lower classifications. Like you can only have 2 pickoff moves in an inning.
That's what I meant. 2 pickoff moves. To me, that's just asinine.
Yeah, it's a little crazy, but it's progression. I don't like the 2 base rule. I do like the little bit wider base. I think it may help some plays at first base. We'll see. The next headline for me, got to say, as a Falcons fan, I got to take my hats off to Drew Brees for a wonderful, wonderful career. 15 years to the day he signed with the Saints. He retired as a New Orleans Saint. One of my favorite players in NFL history. I want to say thanks for the memories. NFL fans everywhere. Drew Brees, right off into the broadcast booth, baby.
Yeah, it'd be a killer.
NBC Sports.
Right.
How about that? I guess
Pretty good.
supposedly he got on to the NBC Today show. I don't watch it, don't really care. But supposedly he got on this morning, and he was able to announce that he joined NBC Sports after a fabulous career with the New York Saints. Oh, boy, he put a lot of bad memories in the Falcon fans, didn't he, Wayne?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And if he stays with them, after the, I don't know if he got up in the NASCAR booth or not, but NBC carries a lot of those races too.
I
That'd
think
be
he'll be
weird.
sticking with the National Football League.
I don't know. There's a lot of football guys get into NASCAR. Jerry Glanville, the coach that used to be up at Washington, Joe
Gibbs.
Gibbs. So you never know.
He's still in it today, by
Yeah.
the way, Joe Gibson. So's his son, who already won a race.
Right.
Absolutely. And then those are the headlines. And folks, remember, Tournament Challenge, ATL Prime Sports. Search it on ESPN.com/bracket or download the Tournament Challenge app by ESPN. Search ATL Prime Sports. It's free to enter. All you have to do is like one of our one of our social medias at ATL Prime Sports on Instagram or Twitter, and you must subscribe to our YouTube channel. And it's a free $50 or a free opportunity at $50.
Yeah.
Those are the headlines.
Right. Opportunity is the key word in that sentence. Opportunity. If not, you like and subscribe us, and that's great for our show. We would greatly appreciate it. All right, let's go on to some NFL news. Let's just get right into it. Let's talk Dak Prescott first, if we could. We know the Cowboys signed him a few years ago. Actually, it's a pretty team-friendly deal. Dallas has already restructured some contracts on the offensive line. The Cowboys still need to build that offensive line. They'll still have money for cap to be able to do that via the draft or potentially in free agency. And Dallas really needs to shore up its front seven because Dak signed for 4 years. If they want any chance of the Super Bowl during this time period, they better fix the O-line and fix the front seven on the defense.
Yeah, it's Dak Prescott. He is the face of the Cowboys for the next several years. They gave him a $160 million 4-year contract. $75 million he'll make in the first season, 66 with the signing bonus, plus the incentives and the annual salary. He'll make $126 million over the first 3 years. So a lot of that money, like you said, is gone really quickly. And I honestly, this is the head scratcher at how much money Dak Prescott got. He's 1-2 in the playoffs. Without Ezekiel Elliott, we saw he wasn't very effective. A lot of garbage time points, as people call it, fantasy time. But hey, the guy got paid. He's a good quarterback. It's the going rate, it seems like. But it just comes back to me. Tom Brady takes a pay cut. Shaq Barrett, Rob Gronkowski come back. That, to me, is how you build a team, not throw all this money at a quarterback. Look at the Falcons. They're in cap hell, and they don't have a lot of money.
We'll get to them soon.
And we will get to them soon. So I don't know if this is going to be a good thing, but I do know with that type of contract comes Super Bowl expectations. You are the Dallas Cowboys franchise quarterback, the most valuable franchise on the planet in terms of sports. So that's going to come with a lot of pressure. And if he doesn't perform, wow, it's just going to make fans even more uneasy as they go on.
It's just, to be fair to Dak Prescott, you said it's the going rate. He got what he's worth. Jerry Jones is paying. This is his investment. This is his guy. He's recovering from the ankle. He'll be ready to go. Look, this is what Dallas was going to do all along. They strung it out with a couple of seasons there by signing to the franchise tag. Now they've moved on. Look, this is all quarterbacks are going to get paid like this, and you got to remember, Tom Brady can afford to take these pay cuts. He's done it for years because he's been in the league so long and he's been so successful. He has the clout. Obviously, that's what Dak Prescott's looking forward to.
It's going to be fun to see how they build this team around him for sure.
They're going to have to get a couple of spots on the O-line and start building the front seven. That's no secret. They've got the weapons at running back and wide receiver. Dak's going to throw for a lot of yards if he stays healthy. He'll throw for over 4,000. But honestly, it'd be better if he if he threw for about 3,500 and let Zeke Elliott carry the rest of the load, because that's where Dak Prescott is best at, is balance. He's one of those quarterbacks that all quarterbacks need balance, but Dak definitely needs a lot. Zeke Elliott to tote the load, doesn't he, Wayne?
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, he needs to tote the load. That's correct. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Russell Wilson and his issues. Now, to me, Russell Wilson is the quarterback. What's the quarterback's job? To lead the team on the field. It's not his job to become GM. It's not his job to suggest who to get. It's not his job to tell the Seahawks organization who to get. Now, if the Seahawks come to him and say, Russell, what do you think about this player? Then absolutely you want to be able to go ahead and give his opinion. But players play, coaches coach, and GMs run the team. It's that simple. And, look, I can understand Russell's frustration from an offensive line standpoint, because let's face it, he's running for his life in Seattle. The Seahawks need to fix the offensive line, go to Russell and say, we're going to fix it, stay with us, and if he doesn't want to stay, you got to trade him. It's that simple.
Yeah, Russell Wilson, I do think, will be the Seattle Seahawks quarterback, especially this fall, especially with the cap hit that he would cost the team if he were to be moved on from. But, I think the fact that they did not mention him in the season ticket, in the letter to season ticket holders, it doesn't mean anything. I really don't think it cares. I just think, hey, they didn't put his name in there simply because –
yeah,
he's going to. It's Wilson. He's like the MVP. He's the only guy that's never gotten an MVP vote, and he's been an MVP caliber player. To me, if you take Russell Wilson off the Seahawks, they're nothing. He's run, like TC mentioned, he runs for his life. He throws for 4,200 yards, 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He was a top 10 quarterback in QBR, right around 73.5, I think, was the QBR rate. And so the guy can play. In my opinion, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, could have 2 Super Bowls on his resume. So I think he'll be there. But I do think it is frustrating to be Russell Wilson. And you want, I guess, these players, you mentioned the TC players play, coaches coach, executives do the executive decisions in the GM room and in the battle room. But players don't want that anymore. Players want to be in the know. Look at Deshaun Watson. He's unhappy in Houston. And that's a huge story. So if he's not happy, players are going to try and force their way out. Again, I don't think Russell will, but here we are now, a player with 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, isn't happy. And if you can make that type of player happy by simply involving him in discussions, if I'm Pete Carroll and the GM, I'm doing everything I can to involve in my opinion, an MVP quarterback, Russell Wilson. I'm involving him in everything if I'm him. Absolutely.
Schneider's done a pretty good job in Seattle as a GM. He really has. He knows he needs to build the offensive line. Will he stay in Seattle? Most likely, but I tell you what, don't hold your breath. Teams are not afraid to eat cap money to get rid of players. We as fans or media or whatever, we're afraid of it. They're not. They're ready to move on. And, you're going to see a lot of quarterback movement. And the question is, what's going to happen to Deshaun? Nobody truly knows. The inkling out of New York, the latest is they'll draft Zach Wilson at 2, and they'll trade Sam Darnold. It's either 3 things. 1, they keep him. They draft to build the team. 2, they draft Zach Wilson, get rid of Sam Darnold. Or 3, they make the blockbuster for Deshaun Watson, and away we go. We'll see what happens. Houston's in a tough spot. They got to trade Deshaun before before the draft. They got to trade him before the draft, because if they wait after, there goes all their all their chips, all their cards in that section, and then we've got an issue at training camp. What does Deshaun Watson do? I think if he is not traded, he'll say all he wants, he's not playing. But we all know when the dollars start falling, I'm coming back. No way in hell is he sitting out.
No way. I agree. And the Texans play hardball hard enough. He may miss a couple games, and then he's going to go, I'm the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL. I think
he
I
ain't missing any games. He might miss some training camp practices, but he's not missing any games.
Money.
Yeah.
And this,
Right.
remember, folks, this is technically the first full year of that contract. So this is when he'll make $39 million this season. So I don't see
No way
for $39 million.
No. If he does, he's got a lot of guts. But
And
I don't
again,
think he
it's
will.
a blockbuster trade. And again, what could happen? Who knows? As fans, as NFL fans, and as my job as a podcaster, I'd say don't get attached to your quarterback anymore, because they could be on the move.
Well, the team you think would be the biggest match for Deshaun Watson is Miami. They have draft capital. They have Tua. Maybe if Houston thinks Tua's the guy, they'll pull the trigger, because they'll get Tua and they'll get draft picks, and the Dolphins will get a top 5 quarterback in the league, and they're a contender already. So it seems to me that's the most logical match for Deshaun to go somewhere.
I think it's the most logical, but I'm not trading Deshaun Watson for Tua Tagovailoa, who was benched 3 times in his rookie year, threw for under, I think it was 175
It's his rookie year, man.
It's his rookie year. But that's not looking good when you get benched. And you were in the playoff race. But
how many interceptions did Peyton Manning throw his rookie year?
It was an NFL record.
So I think you got to throw that out the window. You think he's got potential to do it, and this is your best way to get rid of your thorn in the back, who's ticked off at the GM, doesn't want to talk to the GM or the coach. You gotta get something for something. You just can't let him sit there.
Yeah. Well, what about Atlanta picking 4?
Oh yeah, let's go to the Falcons. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you very much. I should just let you host this baby. All right, let's go to it. The Falcons are drafting at number 4, like Wayne said. The big deal is the kid out of North Dakota State, Trey Lance. Look, Zach Wilson, he could be there at 4. Justin Fields could be there at 4. We know Trevor Lawrence is not going to be there at 4, unless the Jaguars miss their appointment on the clock. And could they do that like the movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner, and the one team almost missed their draft time?
I'm trading you 4 first-round picks.
Right. For your 4th. The Falcons aren't here. Bye. All right, no, but Trevor Lawrence won't be there. Let's see. What are your options if they do? If they stay at 4 and don't draft a quarterback, the Sewell kid, the offensive tackle out of Oregon. If they do drop down, how far do they go? Micah Parsons, Penn State linebacker. They need that desperately. Oh, by the way, Payne out of Michigan, Quiddy Payne, the defensive end. Do they trade and drop down and get him? Now, I would trade and drop down. But Arthur Smith, who's the son of the founder of FedEx, is a hard-working dude. He learned everything from his dad. And if you're a founder of FedEx, you're not afraid to pull that trigger at quarterback at number 4, are you, JJ?
No. And I'm gonna answer this question like this. I am starting to lean towards the fact that the Falcons could draft a quarterback at number 4. I still think they will trade back and acquire more picks. But here's the reason I'm starting to come around on the idea. If you're the Falcons, you're not expecting to pick at 4 again for a long time.
Yeah.
You're expecting to win again right now. You have a core. You have Julio. You have Calvin. You have Matt Ryan.
They got a lot of young guys on defense.
I'm sorry, Wayne, what'd you say?
I said they got a lot of young guys on defense right now.
And
Dude,
You're
young, and they need a lot of help, and they need help on edge rushers on the defensive end. They need help on that line, and they could use a linebacker, and they could use a linebacker like Parsons, who didn't play this year at Penn State. He sat out, which means he should be well rested.
Yeah.
So,
Shouldn't be hurt.
he can move side to side, and this is what this team needs. So we shall see. But JJ, you might be right. Arthur Smith and company went to see Trey Lance. Of course, they went to see Justin Fields. And Zach Wilson. They're going to do their diligence on any quarterback. And hey, check this scenario out. Maybe they drop down and still get another player and a quarterback like Mac Jones out of Alabama. There's so many possibilities here. So, it's like Wayne sitting down to eat that big salad of his with all the ingredients in it, and he showed me. Well, what's the stuff that you have next to it, Wayne? What is that stuff in the salad?
Those are taquitos.
Taquitos. And I asked Wayne, I said, how many calories is in those taquitos? Listen to this, JJ. How many?
3 taquitos, 220 calories.
See, that's conserving a low-calorie salad. Well, the Falcons, if they trade back, they're conserving their salad, and they're getting extra on their plate. Now, what would they do? I have no clue. And if anybody that does out there can tell you what they're going to do, they're clueless. They're lying to you.
I got an idea what they could do if they wanted to trade down. Do you think Jalen Mayfield would be available if they trade down?
I don't know. What do you think, JJ? I have no clue. This is 2021. I have zero clue. What about you?
It's a toss-up. Looking at the draft, the biggest reason I think the Falcons trade back, I don't see 4 quarterbacks going in the first 4 picks. It's never happened. It's unprecedented. But again, I'm leaning towards it because if they do draft Trey Lance, they can have Matt Ryan tutelaging, giving him everything he needs to know, tutoring him, teaching him how to win. The guy only played 17 games. If they trade back and a player like that's available, you have to get him. But here we go. You have a lot of needs. We've mentioned this. Offense, defense. You need a running back. You also need an offensive line. What are you going to do? Alex Mack, is he going to be there long term? You don't know. You got to.
No, he's not going to be there now.
Yeah,
he's not going to be there this season. And I like Alex Mack. It's a damn shame he's not there.
It's a crying shame. But what are you going to do to move on? So there's lots to do. I think again the best thing to do would be to trade back. But I'm not in that GM room. And again,
it's tough, man. Trey Lance.
You don't ever get this opportunity to draft a high caliber quarterback at 4 very often.
But you know what? None of them are a sure thing. Maybe Trevor Lawrence is the closest thing to a sure thing. But after that, to me, I would trade back. Mac Jones is sitting there. I would trade back, and I would get him late in the first round if I can get another pick in the middle of the round. If quarterbacks you're thinking of the future, but to me, Matt Ryan still has 3 or 4 good years.
Absolutely.
I mean, what do you think, Wayne? I do.
Yeah, I think they need to still pick on the defensive side, whether that means picking a defensive player early or trading that 4th round pick and wait until later, because there'll be some great defensive players still there later on.
It's an interesting dynamic. And speaking of interesting, the Falcons signed Young Ho Koo, their Pro Bowl kicker. Yep. Yes, it is good. Thank you, JJ. It is good. Thank you for the split the upright motion there. It is good news. No doubt. What?
Pro Bowl kicker and a Sun Belt Conference guy, a Georgia Southern guy. It's great to see him in a Falcons uniform again. When he first came to the Falcons the year before last year, struggled a little bit early, won the kicking job late, had a heck of a year last year, and he was the NFC's Pro Bowl kicker. Now, too bad the game wasn't played, but that's just a great signing for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. Right.
he was 100% on 50-yard field goals last year. That's a key signing. Everybody hates on kickers, not this guy.
No.
Got to be one of the most clutch positions in all of sports. You just called on for a 50-yarder. He hits all of them. So yeah, it is good.
I got to say,
all right, gentlemen. I'm sorry, Wayne. I apologize. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that kicker position is a real stressful position because whenever they come out to kick an extra point or a field goal, they're right there on display, and there usually isn't but one guy you can blame if he misses it.
All right, guys, we got about 5 minutes or so for Dave Cohen to come on. We said we would talk March Madness. Let's do it in honor of the Atlanta Falcons. Let's talk about the top 5 buzzer beaters of all time, because the teams that lost the games and these top 5, well, the Atlanta Falcons can relate to you losing at the end of the game because they were so damn good at it during the regular season. But before we do that, remember, please go subscribe to our podcast. Go and like it and enter our ATL Prime Sports March Madness contest, because the winner, if you like and subscribe, will win a $50 Visa gift certificate. And we're not going to win, even though we're entered. But we would like you to win, and then you can tweet about it on Twitter, and you can brag about it all day and take a little bit what money it is, and take your friend out or whoever, and enjoy yourself in the evening. All right, let's go to the top 5 buzzer beaters of all time. We got about 3 or 4 minutes before Dave Cohen gets on. If he gets on, we'll talk about this with Dave, and we'll just extend the conversation with him. All right, Wayne, go ahead and give me one of yours.
I'd say Villanova 2016.
Villanova 2016. Yes. Yes, I'd have to agree with that. That's one of them for sure.
Yeah, that's on my list. That's actually
that's that against North Carolina in the national. When was that? Who they played?
That was 2016. 2016. Chris Jenkins on a great. I can't remember the point guard's name. Point guard dribbles down, turns, pivots, laterals it back to
was
Jenkins.
Was that the national championship game? Was it that?
Yeah, that was to win it all.
That was
to win it all. That's why it's my number 1 buzzer beater of all time in NCAA.
Oh, get out of here!
They won it all.
I got a better one.
Yeah,
but that was 2016 against North.
But that's my number 1. So I'm scribbling these around now.
Okay, hang on. Now that 2016 shot against North Carolina, that was bad. That was awesome. That really was. But I got a better one.
All right.
And it's to win the national championship. And Wayne's going to smile when I say it, because the damn Houston Cougars lost, and they beat Memphis twice this season. One of them was on a buzzer beater. It was 1983. Lorenzo Charles and North Carolina State beat Houston for the national championship. And Jim Jim Valvano, run around the court, and this is it, and all that stuff, and they won the national title against Houston. I know that made Wayne smile, because I know he used Houston after eliminating them.
I didn't start disliking Houston until recently, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, this at least gives you something. When it's still in my mind today, the late Jim Valvano, who passed away of cancer. A fantastic coach. That was a magical run for NC State in 1983. I remember it like yesterday. And he's just running around the court looking for somebody to hug. That is my number 1. JJ, what's so you mentioned you and Wayne have the same number 1, right?
Oh yeah. If we're going from 1 to 5, that's how I'm going. My number 2.
Hang on, you know what? We'll get to your. Whoa. We'll get to number 2 in a second. We'll bring Dave Cohen on, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers, and he joins us here on ATL Prime Sports. Dave, we'll get into Georgia State in a minute, but let's include you in the topic. Your top 5 buzzer beater of all time. What is it in the NCAA tournament?
Well, you would think that I would say R.J. Hunter 30-something footer to beat Baylor down in Jacksonville in 2015, but that actually was not a buzzer beater.
Right.
It was still about 2.3 seconds to go when he took that shot. So, you want to know which one it is?
I know what mine is. I just said it before you came on. What's yours?
The Houston Cougars to win the national championship with Lorenzo Charles.
That was NC State beating Houston in
Right.
1983.
Right.
Phi Slamma Jim lost, and Jim Valvano is running around looking to hug somebody afterwards. That's my number one, too. Yep. Great minds think alike, by the way. Sorry about that, Wayne and JJ. That wasn't their number one, is because they're younger than me, was the 2016 buzzer beater for Villanova or North Carolina.
Yeah. Of course, you could have picked Christian Leitner. He's got several of them that were buzzer beaters.
He's got two of them in 92 versus Kentucky and 90 versus UConn. Dave, that's right up there too, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
It is. JJ, what's another one you got?
Yeah, you already mentioned the Christian Leitner. You know, we gotta talk about Rip Hamilton. UConn beats Washington 1998 to head to the Elite Eight. Couple tips right at the end. Ball comes back out, Kareem's out to Rip, the fadeaway for the win. Rip Hamilton, buzzer beater at UConn. That is one of my favorite memories. UConn, very good basketball school, lots of history. Rip Hamilton's got to be a good mention. That's my number 4.
Dave, you got another one, Dave? Do you have another one off the top of your head?
I was going to say, getting back to NC State, one of the better 30 for 30s that ESPN has produced, and just about all of them are really, really good watching. But have you seen the 30 for 30 where they bring back all the living members of that NC State team, and they're like in a back room at a restaurant, all just sitting around the table? There's no moderator, there's no host. It's just the members of that team for like an hour reviewing that season, that championship, the NCAA tournament, Jim Valvano. It really is a fantastic ESPN 30 for 30 when they go back and reminisce about that team, that season, and that tournament.
It's one of my favorite, definitely. Another great one, Bryce Drew Valparaiso, 1998 against Ole Miss. Boy, now that was a shot.
That was a shot. That was exciting. I remember same tournament as that Rip Hamilton buzzer beater, but this was in
the first round.
And Valpo was a 13 seed. Ole Miss was hot coming in. 4 seed, winning. Bryce Drew just easy. Right wing makes it. That is definitely on my list. Another one on my list, I'm sure it's on everybody's. Well, it should be on everybody's. It was one of my favorites because it was a half-court shot. It's got to be Paul Jesperson. Northern Iowa beats Texas in 2016. Seemed like 2016 was full of buzzer beaters. But again, it's got to be on there simply because the shot was from half court and he drains it. Northern Iowa upsets Texas, and your boy picked it.
Hey, Dave, you got another one?
Well, again, it was not a buzzer beater, but it was a huge shot for a guy who was well known at the time. But it was, if I can remember correctly, maybe one of his first biggest shots. And that's Michael Jordan hitting that shot with 17 seconds to go against Georgetown, which essentially won that championship, that NCAA championship for Dean Smith in North Carolina. But was he a freshman or a sophomore when he took that shot?
Part of me wants to say sophomore, but I might not be right.
Yeah.
He was a freshman that year.
Oh, okay.
He was a freshman.
That's a big shot for it. Now listen, we all know what Michael Jordan became, but to take that shot as a freshman in that game, in that circumstance, under those conditions, you can look back at it now and say, boy, that was one of the early signs of the greatness that was to come in the ensuing years.
And another one would be Bob Knight's last national championship in the late 80s.
His last name was Smart.
Right, Keith Smart. Thank you.
Keith Smart.
And, right, in the pass that was made from Thomas over to Keith Smart was brilliant, and Keith Smart nailed it. Everybody thought Steve Alford was going to take it, and Keith Smart did, and bang, that another tough loss for Jim Boeheim of Syracuse in the NCAA tournament. I've got a great one. U.S. Reed in 1981 for Arkansas versus Louisville. That was another buzzer beater. You got any, Wayne?
No, but when there's some questions I had for Dave about Georgia State basketball.
All right, let's transition to that.
Yeah, I understand there's some players that receive some all-conference honors.
Yeah, and actually, I thought we would have more, to be honest with you, finishing first in the Sun Belt's Eastern Division. But Corey Allen ends up getting all second team, all Sun Belt Conference, and Eliel Saseme gets all third team, which, again, I know you can't, I mean, it's only 5 guys per team, but,
right.
You know, he averaged a double-double the entire season.
Exactly.
And he makes all third team in the Sun Belt Conference.
Wait, he should have gotten higher than that.
Well, I would have thought at least second team. Now, Corey Allen, I have no qualms with. He led us in scoring all year, 15 points a game. But I thought Eliel at least would have been a second teamer. But, you know, it was a little more difficult this year because of the fact that, you know, we didn't see half the league in person until the tournament.
Right.
You know, unless you saw some video or, you know, happened to, you know, jump on and watch one of their games, which I didn't do all that much because I knew we weren't playing them.
Right.
But, you know, obviously good players at Texas State. They had a really good season. They won the western half of the Sun Belt, and Louisiana Lafayette's always pretty good. You know, we eliminated them in the second round of the semifinal round of the Sun Belt Conference tournament down in Pensacola a few weeks ago, which, by the way, sorry I could not join you, but I was trying to dial in that night, and I just couldn't get through.
Yeah.
Well, you know, sometimes that phone has an issue, and I sat there and promised everybody you were coming on. I just looked like an idiot at the end when you didn't show up.
No, I don't think that's. Listen, that was a late game, and
right.
If it were me, I'd be wanting to get in the car and drive back somewhere where I could lay down and go to sleep.
Yeah. We ended up.
That's a bad memory. I'm sorry about that.
That's fine. That's fine. Overall, it was a relatively good trip to Pensacola, except for the second half of the third game.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we just came out of the locker room.
I was going to say, App State, they won 3 of 4 from Georgia State this year, and God doggone it, they're a 16 seed. And Dave, you know what I thought? The second App State was going to be a 16-team seed. You know what I thought? Okay, I'm bringing it up now. Here we go. Buckle up. They were going to play Michigan, who's a 1 seed, and we were going to get it all over again, but we didn't get it. That's
actually, I don't think that we would have been a 16 seed.
No, you wouldn't. You'd have been a 14 seed.
Yeah, I figured 14 or at the very least a 15 seed. But Appalachian State is having to play in that first 4 in those play-in games.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I'm really kind of surprised about that.
You're right.
Coming out of the Sun Belt. You know, listen, I realize we're not a Power 5, but I figured that the Sun Belt was high enough in the pecking order that it would not play in a first 4 play-in game.
Yeah. Well, Wichita State has to play in a play-in game also.
Yeah. But again, chalk it up to.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, just chalk it up to the craziness of the season that it has been up to this point.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you who I was shocked that's playing in a playing game, and I had this conversation with JJ earlier, is Michigan State. How in the world are they playing a playing game? They were ranked the 42nd team going to the tournament. They had 3 top 5 wins in 7 days. I know they had 6 losses of 15-plus points, but I'm sorry. They played a way better schedule than Utah State. Utah State should have played that playing game, but as Tom Izzo would say, it's on the schedule. We're playing UCLA, and, you know, kudos to the NCAA tournament. They got a great playing game between Michigan State and UCLA.
Yeah, they definitely get people watching that one.
Yeah, unlike years past where you get, you know, teams that would normally be 16 seeds, if they weren't playing games, playing against each other just to get into the rest of the tournament.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. You know, you got some interesting matchups that will draw eyeballs right at the very outset of the NCAA tournament. Look, just keep your fingers crossed that we can get through this thing, you know, without any pauses. I saw on Twitter earlier they've already had to eliminate 6 officials due to contact tracing, who would normally be guys that you would see working the NCAA tournament every year, but they're going to have to sit this one out because of COVID-19 contact tracing.
Once they get in the bubble, though, they should all be good. It's getting in that bubble, getting tested, get initially in there like they do for professional sports, like they did for the NHL and the NBA. I think it'll be good once they get in. They just got to get in and get tested. What is it, 7 consecutive days? They got to show negative tests before they can play the first game. So, like Kansas, they couldn't finish their tournament. Virginia, they couldn't finish their tournament. And neither could, doggone it, was the other one, Duke. They couldn't finish their tournament. And, the Jackets took advantage here. They're the local team in the NCAA tournament. We thought it was going to be Georgia State and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech wins the ACC. Wins the ACC by winning 2 games, and it's definitely pandemic basketball, Dave.
Yeah, well, listen, I felt pretty good about it going into that game last Monday night. I did. I admit it. But I knew that Appalachian State was going to be a tough match. They'd beaten us twice in Boone. And when we beat them in Atlanta, it wasn't like it was a runaway type win. And they're just one of those teams that they only go about 7 deep, but the 5 starters are all very dangerous. If you watch the game or if you listen to the game, you heard the name Michael Almanasi. He just had a career night against us with 32 points, was hitting shots that normally, listen, you and I both know they're not going in. But credit to them, they won 4 games in 4 days. And 2 of those games went to overtime. And somebody would say, well, their legs aren't going to be there by the time they get to Monday night. They don't play that deep.
They surprised you.
Those kids did not look like they were winded at all, especially in the second half.
We looked
more like the team.
Who's their draw in the tournament?
I forget. Norfolk State.
They got Norfolk State.
Yeah.
And then they get the winner of that game gets Gonzaga.
Oh, Merry Christmas to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah. So don't keep that hotel room, beyond a couple of nights. But I was told.
Don't take out a bunch of clothes.
Yeah. I was told that had we won last Monday night, that I needed to be ready on Saturday. So this past Saturday to head to Indianapolis.
All right. Well, you missed a road trip.
Yeah, oh, that's a shame. I would have loved to have seen you there. I would have loved to have heard you there. I caught your call, and congratulations to Kane Williams. What is he, top 10 now in Georgia State history or top 11 in scoring?
I believe he's still 13th all time in scoring.
I thought he was 12 or 10, 11 or 12, one or the other. Wow, I'm off. Sorry.
Well, he was passing guys. At one point he passed 2 guys in one game. So I think it's 13th, but you're right. It might be 12. I can't remember.
I heard your call on the radio. I swear you said 12. I was driving home. I'm like, okay, I got to put this in my head. Dave Cohen said it. I know it's true.
If that's what you heard, then I'm going to believe you.
Does anybody have any thoughts on first round upsets in this tournament?
JJ, do you have one?
I have to look at a bracket.
This is the first year in my bracket I do not have a 12-5, and I'm going to blame it on COVID. I'm picking all 5 teams to move on. I am not doing any upsets in this COVID tournament. I'm not. I'm serious. I think teams that have been tested and played in bigger conferences are going to be well tested, and they're going to be much better off for it. It's a weird year, man. I'm not picking any upsets in the first round.
I am. I got a 12-5. I want to hear if Dave has one, and then Wayne, then me.
Well, you guys go. I don't have the bracket in front of me to.
I bet. You know what, Dave? I'll give you a hint. He played center for the Knickerbockers and Madison Square Garden, and he coaches this certain team who won the Big East, I believe. Isn't Georgetown a 12 seed or are they a 9 seed? I might be messed up. I don't have it in front of me either.
Yeah.
Are they, Wayne, do you have the bracket in front of you?
Yeah.
Are they a 12 seed, Georgetown?
Let me scan it. Yeah, they're a 12 seed. They're playing Colorado.
Colorado in the East.
Yeah.
So they are 12 seed.
They are.
Yeah.
It is a 12.
Oh, I got Georgetown beating Colorado.
The Buffs will move on.
Well, we'll find out. Well, you got one, Wayne, since Dave doesn't
Yeah,
have
I'm actually picking Iona over Alabama.
Oh, he's going Rick Pitino love on us here. No. That's
Iona. Well coached, though. You never know.
Yeah. First year
well,
coach.
the players on the court from Alabama are better than Iona. I'm going to look like an idiot if they win, but, what do you think, Dave? You think that's got a shot?
Let me backpedal. I do have a 10-7 upset. I got Maryland beating UConn.
I got that. I think the Big Ten's got 9 teams in. They could get 2 of them in the Final Four, potentially.
I think the Big 12, the Big 10 are going to have a heck of a tournament.
Dave, what do you think? You got 9 teams in the Big 10. How many do you think can get to the Final Four?
Well, let me just say this first of all. One of the things that I'm most happy about, even in a COVID season, no Kentucky, no Duke, no Louisville.
Oh,
no Duke.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Some of the Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
Some of the Blue.
No Kentucky.
Some of the Blue Bloods are not here.
Yeah.
You know what? Guess what? Now that you mentioned it, Dave, that was awesome. Because in 1976, there was no Kentucky. There was no Duke. Indiana went 32-0 and won the national championship. Yes, JJ, I know who in the hell they beat. Michigan, thank you. And now Gonzaga is 26-0. And they can win the national championship being undefeated and go 32-0. Does history repeat itself? Dave, who do you have winning the tournament?
I'd love to see Gonzaga win it. I'd love to see somebody who's never won it before. I don't want to hear, again, that's why I said, it's great to not have some of the blue bloods in the tournament. I'd love to see a Gonzaga win it, for them to have the kind of run that George Mason had and that Virginia Commonwealth had and that Butler had.
Don't forget about
I'm also what?
Don't forget about Sister Jean and Loyola now, Dave.
And Loyola. But I'll tell you who based on connections, the athletic director at Utah State is a good friend of ours. He used to be at Georgia State, so we're gonna pull for Utah State.
All right.
Oh, okay. You know what? Speaking of Sister Jean, guess who they play? Georgia Tech. And Sister Jean wins that. They play top-rated Illinois. You think that'll be I don't have the bracket in front of me. I just know it. And what do you think? Think that'll be a big game in Chicago, fellas?
Yeah, definitely.
And I got Sister Jean winning over Georgia Tech.
Ooh.
Well, now, JJ, who you got winning?
That's not a big upset. It's 8 versus 9. But Georgia Tech had the ACC Player of the Year and then the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. And Dave, Georgia State beat them earlier in the year. Yep. So, it's got to be just going, man, why didn't we beat App State?
It took 4 overtimes the night before Thanksgiving to beat Georgia Tech. But look, they were fortunate because, again, they don't have to play a powerhouse Duke team. They don't have to play a powerhouse North Carolina team. They don't have to play a powerhouse Louisville team. Listen, if you're sitting over at Georgia Tech, you'll take it. But it was not your prototypical ACC tournament every year, and that road will normally be a lot harder.
Yeah.
Look, even we had to play 3 games. App State had to play 4. Georgia Tech had to play 2.
Here we go. They did beat Florida State, though, to win it, who was the best team in the ACC all year. But they did get the forfeit versus Virginia, which helped them tremendously.
Yeah.
Now, JJ.
Wow, what a season. I mean, what a season. And Dave, what do you expect from Georgia State basketball next season?
Well, again, I think we'll be one of the top 3 teams in the conference. Should be. From what I understand, the seniors are going to return. There are 2 freshmen that will come in out of Pebblebrook that, from what I understand, are really good players. Coach Lanier's challenge next year will be coming up with, another rotation in order to get a lot of these guys significant playing time. We had impact freshmen this year with Colin Moore and with Evan Johnson. If the seniors come back, we could be pretty good again.
Wow, that would be awesome. Are they going to play Georgia Tech next year?
I'm not sure. I know it's a 2-for-1. They're going to play at our place the year we open up the new Georgia State Convocation Center.
When is that?
Probably 23.
23.
Yeah.
Are they going to play Michigan next year? I heard they may. I heard that. Ann Arbor.
I heard that game, and I heard the Kentucky game that we were supposed to play this year.
Now, you know what? Will it be at home, or would that be at Kentucky?
No, that would be at Kentucky. So the 2 years we played them home and home, we played them in Rupp, and then the next year they came back and played us in Phillips Arena when it was still known as Phillips Arena.
If they play in Kentucky, stick me, JJ, and Wayne in the trunk of your car. We won't say another word to drive us up to Lexington.
You should be able to be up. You should be able to go up and get a ticket for that game. It's not like it's the Kentucky-Louisville game.
I would go up there and get a ticket. I got family in Cincinnati. It's not that far away. I would definitely seriously consider it. That's for sure. Dave, we're out of time, but we do have one more thing to tell you. JJ, tell him about the tournament. Tell him to enter for the heck of it. If he wins, we'll give a deal.
I think you're muted.
You're muted. Hey, Dave, we have the ATL Prime Sports Tournament Challenge. Go to it. If you win it, you get a $50 Visa gift card, and you can take your wife out for the night.
I think I saw you post something about that on Twitter, or Wayne posted something on Twitter about that.
Can you retweet it for us?
Sure.
Great, because somebody, we need people to play. So
we need players.
We need players. Yes, kind of like bad teams and at the bottom of sports. We need players. Dave, thanks so much for coming on. One more thing. I'm sorry. The Georgia State football, the spring practice. You have anything on that?
Well, I managed to make it out to a practice or two the first week. Last week, they're off this week, and then it'll start back up next week. But I think we got 22 players that started last year back. I mean, this is going to be one of the most experienced Georgia State football teams we've had. Of course, the challenge will be that early non-conference portion of the schedule, because we play Army at home.
Ooh, I can't wait for that.
We're at North Carolina. We're at Auburn. And we have a home game against the Charlotte 49ers.
Wow. I can't, you know what? If I'll probably be doing some HBCU football on Flow Sports for the SIAC conference. But if I'm not, man, that Georgia State Army game, is that at Georgia State?
Yes.
It is. Remember, we played them 2 years ago
here. I'll go down
here.
there in a heartbeat for that.
Remember, we played them. We played Army here 2 years ago.
Right. Wow, that's right. Well, Dave, we're out of time. Thanks so much for coming on. As always, we'll bring you back next week and we'll talk some spring football. How's that?
All right. Sounds good. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for coming on. As always, Dave Cohen, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers, will join us each and every week, and we'll have some Panther talk here on ATL Prime Sports. We got about 6 minutes left of the show. Guys, it's time for our March Madness picks, our Final Four. I'm going to let Wayne, you need to go first.
All right. Well, I've got my Final Four is not going to be very typical, except for one team. I've got Kansas, Arkansas, West Virginia, and Michigan.
Kansas, Arkansas, West Virginia, and Michigan. Right. Lord. Who's in the championship game?
Michigan, West Virginia.
Oh, man. Are you jinxing me? Who do you got winning it all?
Michigan.
Oh, you are killing me, Smalls. If they win it, I'm going to hug you and do a virtual hug. But if they lose, oh, man. you're jinxing me. But
Yeah.
you know what? We'll see what happens. I mean, you could be right. The bracket Michigan's in is really a good one because based on how they played, I didn't think they'd make it. But they get to avoid some folks that have, beat them until they get deep in the tournament, which is a good thing for them because, losing livers is a big deal for Michigan. There's no question about it. JJ, what's your Final Four?
My Final Four, I'm glad you asked. I do as well have Michigan in my Final Four. 20-4, Big Ten regular season champs. Played the toughest conference. That matters. Juwan Howard's got his guys playing well.
Yep.
Michigan is one of my teams. Don't want to do it, but I'm doing it. Gonzaga's in there. It's Gonzaga versus Michigan on the left side of the bracket there. And on the right side, I'm going a full Big 12 matchup. Baylor versus West Virginia. Baylor's the best three-point shooting team in the country.
Well, howdy hi to both of you then.
At 43%, one of the best offensive teams in the country at 85 points a game. Scott Drew has been there for a while. It's about time they settle down. They get over the R.J. Hunter buzzer beater from 5 years ago. They go to the Final Four. West Virginia is my last Final Four contestant. Culver's a walking double-double. They have three guys that can shoot the lights out from beyond the arc, McBride, Sherman, and McNeil. And that, my friend, is what gets Bob Huggins to the Final Four. Now, here's my championship
who's in the
matchup.
championship game and who wins it?
I got the Zags getting beat by the Baylor Bears and Scott Drew, 77-74. Baylor Bears get their national title in men's basketball this time around. Baylor Bears.
Wow. Well, my Final Four is Michigan. They'll play Gonzaga. I have Illinois playing Baylor. I have Illinois defeating Baylor. I have Gonzaga defeating Michigan. And I have Illinois winning the national championship. What I pick it? 86, 82, somewhere in that range. I picked the final score. No, it was 88, 84, somewhere in that range. I have Illinois, the best team in the best conference, winning the title. And Gonzaga comes so close to the perfect season, they fall short. Yes, JJ.
Guys, I got some breaking news. Breaking news right here. On this Monday night, Jameis Winston has agreed to a one-year deal with the Saints worth up to $12 million. We have a quarterback battle in New Orleans, folks.
Yeah. Well,
you know what? And that's right. Taysom Hill is going to sign a 4-year deal with New Orleans. Now, my bet is
same contract as Dak Prescott, 4 years, 140. But here's the key with Taysom Hill.
Right.
It's all avoidable. I mean, you can literally
make it all avoidable. But that tells me Taysom Hill is going to be the starting quarterback.
Me too. But hey, Jameis Winston, I told you, the guy does know how to throw for 5,000 yards. He's one of 8 players to do it. You got to give him an edge there. He's been in the offense for a year. He's got the ability to be mobile, just like Hill. He's got the ability to throw the ball. So there is a quarterback battle. I just wanted to bring that in. That is some pretty big news here out of New Orleans.
It is.
All right. Yes, it is. All right, guys. That's the end of our show. I want to thank Dave Cohen for coming on, the voice of the Georgia State Panthers. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me for an hour. We did our March Madness picks, and one more announcement before we go. Our next show will be at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live on Blog Talk Radio, 1-347-205-9631. We're working on a guest for this coming Friday. If we do not, with the 4 of us, along with Mark Mancini in Los Angeles, we'll talk March Madness, and we will get deep. As Eddie Murphy would say in Beverly Hills Talk, we'll get deep undercover talking about March Madness. All right, one more announcement then. ATL Prime Challenge. Go on the ESPN Bracket Challenge. You must, once again, subscribe and like, order to win a $50 Visa gift card. Do it up. Go there. Let us know on Twitter at ATL Prime Sports who you're picking to win. We will retweet your pick on ATL Prime Sports to win it. I'll retweet it. Wayne will retweet it. JJ will retweet it. And we'll just be tweeting if you enter.
Yeah. Hey, do you know how easy it is to subscribe to this channel?
No, tell me how easy it is.
There's a little Georgia bulldog down in the corner of this screen. His name is Uga. You click on that little bulldog, and you're going to see another button where you can click on and subscribe. It's that easy.
Yeah, guess who came up with the bulldog button?
Yeah,
you're looking at him on. Yeah, we know who came up with the bulldog button. We know. But I'm glad he came up with it because it's easy to remember. Just remember dogs. What's that?
It's March Madness. Enjoy it. Again, like one of our ATL Prime Sports pages, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube. Search ATL Prime Sports in the ESPN Bracket Challenge app or ESPN.com/brackets. Again, search ATL Prime Sports. It's free, and you get a chance at a $50 Visa gift card.
$50.
Just to make it clear, folks.
Right.
Super clear.
$50. All right, everybody. That's the end of the show. Say it, JJ.
Get you one. We'll see you next week.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.